Hello, welcome back to Ones of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Phil, of course, and joined as usual by Dave. Good evening. It's been a while.
It's been it's been a month since we've done an episode, and it's been sort of 6 weeks since Phil's been here with us. So it's been a long time, my friends, since we got down to sit down and talk about Star Wars. It seems like a really long time in coming, and by the amount of news that we have to cover, it's absolutely a long time.
It's one of those things of, especially 2 weeks ago when we had stuff personally going on, we decided to just postpone this episode and make sure everything was back in order, and then they kind of went, here's NYCC, here is news, here's The Mandalorian, here, just have everything, have all the news. So I come back and it's, this is a mess. There's plenty to talk about. Oh dear, this could take a while. Sat down to the schedule today, it took me about 2.5, 3 hours to actually put everything together. I kid you not. So I was like, this is bigger task than I thought. I was planning on rewatching Resistance again, just kind of get my head really ready to talk about it. Like, no, did not have the time. So we might as well jump into it because we have plenty to talk about, and we might as well just jump into probably the biggest bit of news, which is The Mandalorian. So Jon Favreau, as you all know, is making the new live-action TV show due out on Disney's streaming service next year. And rather randomly, he posted on his Facebook page and his Twitter the title and synopsis for this new show. I actually went and double-checked on both his official Twitter and his official Facebook to see if it was real, because it looked fake. But it was, you know what I mean? It was one of those things that just randomly popped out of nowhere, like, I don't quite believe this, but we'll investigate. No, it turns out genuinely this is true. And then StarWars.com broke the news a little bit later. He may have released it sooner than he should have done, but we shall see. So it's called The Mandalorian, and the synopsis basically is, after the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges of the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We follow travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the far galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. And then in an interview, Jon Favreau told the Nerdist he will be playing an alien in the show, and set to take about 11 years after the Battle of Yavin, which is a New Hope, which is one of those things we kind of already knew that people already misquoted him by saying it's 11 years after Battle of Endor. No, it's just 11 years after Battle of Yavin, which makes it about, what was that, about 5-6 years after Endor, something like that?
I would say 4.5, 5 after Jedi. So you're right, slap bang in the middle of the time period before the First Order stuff really kicks in.
Oh, you're massively before the First Order, but it's after the Empire, so there's quite a lot going on. We've already had a bit of news. So Dave Filoni will be directing the first episode, which I am stupidly excited to see him finally get his hands on a live-action piece. Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok and What We Do in the Shadows, he's directing an episode. Bryce Dallas Howard, she's directing an episode. And also, there's rumours that Taika Waititi and Bryce Dallas Howard will also star in the show, and I really want Taika Waititi to appear in it because I think that would be hilarious. And also, Pedro Pascal, who played Oberyn Tyrell in Game of Thrones, is also being eyed for a key role. I personally love the sound of this.
It doesn't. I mean, from it was great. Surprised. Then at first, incredible. That showed us many people picking up herself. I'm guessing it's a guy just from the shape of him and the build of him, as because when it first was rumored, I think my head went to Sabine, but obviously that's not happening. That would have been cool though. But yeah, so it looks like it's going to be an amazing thing. I'm really happy with the way it is, especially with the directors they've got coming on board. Dave Filoni getting a live action shot. This is his first foray into it, and I think he's so well deserved to get this, and knows the world so well, and probably knows more about Mandalorian everything. With having obviously gone through Clone Wars, having gone through Rebels, he is so well versed in that Mandalorian world that he is the guy who you want to be directing. He knows probably already the story he wants to tell with the episode. Obviously, Favreau's. I don't know, is Favreau writing or is he just producing?
He's doing both. He's both writing and producing. I'm sorry, we lost you for a bit Dave, but basically just that yes, we are both very excited. I mean, yes, no, agreed though on your point though with Dave Filoni. There's no one I'd rather be having direct and guide Jon Favreau through the Mandalorians and through that part of the galaxy. Spending as much time as he did with George Lucas, he's the last real connection we have to George's creative vision. And yeah, there's no one else who really looks after the Star Wars universe in such detail. Since going from Clone Wars into Rebels, of course, being Clone Wars back next year, obviously. Dave Filoni, I'm more than happy to see him taking on an episode. Taika Waititi, loved what we do in the Shadows. Loved Thor Ragnarok. Yep, I'm very excited to see him both direct an episode, and if he's in it, that'll be even better. But no, very excited to see his take on it. Bryce Dallas Howard, I can take or leave. I'm not particularly fussed that she's directing an episode, but it'd be interesting to see if she stars in it. But yeah, it's one of those things that when Favreau was announced to do this show, we were a little skeptical. We didn't know what the show would be, what it would entail, because of course we had the announcement back in 2005 for Star Wars Underworld, which was the crime syndicate show set on Coruscant in the Underworld. And of course, this isn't that show, so it'd be interesting to see where they go with it. But it's good to finally have a Star Wars show come to fruition.
And I think it's also great that if people have seen the picture, already doing the rounds is how close it looks to the game that got cancelled, 1313. Been a lot of comparisons to what they were doing with that. This Underworld bounty hunter. That was going to be Boba Fett in that game. The comparison of how what he's wearing, it looks very similar. So if they've taken some of that as well, because there was probably been so much artwork for that game that was just held at Lucasfilm waiting for something to happen with it, to now probably be able to bring some of that to the Mandalorian. I mean, I love the look of him. That helmet, the solid, what looks like a solid steel helmet without the actual viewfinder in it, looks immense. I can't wait. I really can't wait for this to start.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the long-range blast on the back. You've got this menacing pose. Of course, the armor itself is very iconic to Mandalore, but of course, each individual Mandalorian's armor is slightly different. They tailor it towards whatever clan they're in, to what their own entails. But yeah, it just looks solid, badass, and just the picture alone tells 1,000 words. Just where they're going with this. I mean, remember when we had Force Awakens announced, you had that little video for Omaze done by J.J. Abrams. And of course, in that, you had Boba Joe, which was this hunchback creature. And in that, you just looked around, you saw in depth into the background, you saw what they were planning on doing. It wasn't much, but you had this little glimpse. Again, this little glimpse offers so much. And it's also interesting because the first Star Wars product we shot in the Disney area, not in the UK. It's being shot in Southern California. Apparently because they're shooting episode 9 over here, and it would take up too much time and space over here. But that doesn't really matter. Just interesting to see this show going. Of course, it's coming next year with the Disney streaming service. And very excited to see it. Have a lot of faith in Jon Favreau, what he did with Marvel, with the Iron Man series, what he's done with the Chef film. He's done a lot of stuff. He usually stars it as well. He's already said he'll be in this. Again, no issue with that. I'm just looking forward to seeing that come to fruition.
Now, with this, the Disney streaming app, that's where obviously going to be held and where it's housed. Now, whether that's the thing, because this thing will probably get released first in the US, so I thought that'll be out straight away there. Now, I wonder if they'll do what DC are doing. I don't know if DC Universe have released their own app, very similar to this, a streaming app that they're putting all of their media out on. But that's only available in the US and Canada. Now, their series Titans, based on the Teen Titans, is going on to Netflix after it's finished its streaming run. Yeah. So I'm wondering if, as well, if they don't, obviously the app doesn't come out.
I don't think Disney are not that stupid.
Think it'll be a worldwide.
I think the global release, they would be missing a trick if they did that. I mean, you have to look at it in a business perspective. If you limit it to Canada and North America, then people are still going to watch it. It's just going to be pirated. You might as well give people the option to pay for it and have it in HD around the globe. I mean, to be fair, Warner Brothers and DC have been dropping the ball all over the place for years with the way they've been handling their films and their TV shows to do with DC. I don't think Disney that cheap. I mean, they have their Marvel shows already on Netflix, and that gets a global release. So if you look at it from that perspective, why would they change that? Why would they go from a global release of, let's say, Daredevil to then a North American and Canadian release? Maybe do it by a day or something. I could see them doing, but I think no, just be a global release.
I really hope
so. Yeah.
But I think it's just exciting times ahead. I mean, it looks fans have seemed to really latched onto it early doors. We've seen one still image, and fans have jumped on that. And the excitement levels, again, it's something that hasn't been there for a little while, and it's nice to have.
It is. No, the end of next year, we get the streaming service, we get Clone Wars, we get The Mandalorian. Yeah, win. And then, of course, a couple months afterwards, we get episode 9. So yeah, next year we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll have our on-the-ground reporter with George when he's out in Star Wars Celebration. Now, we call him our on-ground reporter. We personally call him our on-ground shop assistant, as he'll be picking up many things for us.
That literally is all we're going to send him there for. Here's some empty bags.
Yeah, it'll be like, here, look, we'll pay for you to take an extra suitcase, so we'll just put that in the middle, that'll be our postage fee, and then here you go, here's lots of money to bring us back everything we want. And then yeah, that'll be fine, that's all we do. And then, yes, that's The Mandalorian. We might as well jump to the next bit of news. It's unfortunately a sad bit of news, but I thought about that there. Gary Kurtz has passed away. I did a post about this on our Facebook page. He passed away at the age of 78 after a year-long battle with cancer. And of course, we send our thoughts to his family. Gary Kurtz helped produce both Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Was a friend of Lucas and did a lot for the franchise, so it's very sad to hear that.
Yeah, it's always sad. I mean, unfortunately, we're getting to a time period now where when out, so we are getting that time. Unfortunately, we start losing people who made these movies happen that we're still talking about 40 years later on the internet that didn't exist back then. But it's sad. I mean, he was a big part in getting these films out there. So just really, again, just thoughts to his family and sad passing of a big member of the Star Wars family. Yeah,
just you just got to remember Yoda's teaching. I actually quite funny enough on here, and I've forgotten where I put it down. So I prepare things and I forget things.
Well, we remember, it's fine. Let's move on.
It's right. I have it right here. Because it is because what Yoda said to Anakin in Episode 3. So death is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who have joined the Force. Miss them, do not. Join them, warn them, do not. And that's one of the only things we can remember in this time, of course. So I thought to go out to him and his family. Of course, moving on from that, Solo, in the time that we've been off there, has come out officially on DVD and Blu-ray around the globe and in the UK, and is currently the #1 Blu-ray selling in the UK at the moment.
It's I've been out. I purchased my Blu-ray. I don't know what Phil thinks about my getting movies habits. I went out. And
this is fine. No, you bought it anyway. That's all that matters. Although I had a steelbook and something got pointed out to me and it irks me as I've seen it now, I cannot unsee it. If you have the steelbook, and I haven't got my steelbook on me to show you an example, but if you look at the steelbook, if anyone's got the steelbook at home, I'm about to ruin it for you. If you look at the steelbook, you look at the Falcon. It's great. It's Lando's Falcon, except the fact that the actual gun on top is the quad turret that Han has, not the.
Really?
Yeah, not the.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's the quad gun. It's not the single laser turret that Lando has.
There's an oops moment right there.
It's a very big oops moment because I'm sorry, but someone out there goofed when you had the Falcon, you had Lando's Falcon, you had references. Someone out there did not think to double check they've got the correct image.
That's gone through so many eyes as well before that went to a steelbook. Yep. Like literally a lot of people have seen that and literally stamped it okay before it moved on to another department.
Yeah. That's before you even get to the fact that they will do a actual final version, send it off back to Disney for approval. Say, look, we have made it. What do you think? The fact that someone had it in their hands physically and still didn't notice it, it's just
nice.
Anyone with a Steelbook out there, go and check. I saw Robin, who we've had on here before, saw him the other day, and I told him about it, and he picked up his and went, oh, so it's there. Once you notice it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So sorry for ruining it out there for people, but there you go. For those of you, I'll just skip over our expert news and just rewind a second. So for those of you who have not bought the Steelbook, StarWars.com have done an exclusive slipcover that you can download and put in the front that doesn't contain a Falcon with a quad gun.
It's I mean it's a pretty good Blu-ray. There's some really nice behind the scenes featurettes, some extra scenes on there. There's a little round table section where Ron Howard's talking to the cast. Goes over that. It's not very long, but I would have preferred like a full commentary would have been where I would have really liked. But you know what? It's a nice little Blu-ray. I'm sure there are.
Considering the drama behind the scenes, we're lucky to get a lot of what we've got in the end.
We did find out quite a bit actually, and you find out some of the stuff that was already in place, and it's a really good Blu-ray. I would recommend going out and getting that just so you can get the extra features that come along with that.
Oh, for sure, no, highly recommend it. Highly recommend you get the Blu-ray, get the Steelbook, and point it out and laugh in the future. It's fine. But no, just get it. The extra features are always worth it, and it's just interesting to see what we did get in the end in terms of those behind the scenes, considering all the drama with them firing Phil and Chris Miller and just the amazing product we ended up putting out at the end. I mean, my hats off to Disney. Figuratively, because I can't actually literally take my hats off, but yeah, hats off to them for actually having the balls to go out, fire the directors, and make such a solid product in the end with Ron Howard. Although speaking of Solo, we found out recently with an interview with Warwick Davis, he actually plays 5 different roles in Solo. I was actually quite astounded when I read this. So there's a couple of droids. We've got DDBD, which is a droid on Kessel. Another droid called Treybot. He's the one that goes mental when everything's released. We have Trin Sabak, gains a little character, sort of a little hamster kind of. Goes up to Han and gives him congratulations, a little pat when he wins the game. So that's another one. We have during the Corellia spaceport sequence, you have a miniature astronaut with kind of the gold visor. And of course, with the 2 droids having a fight, he's the smaller green one out of the 2 of them. And of course, we use on both of his kind of disguised state and his undisguised state. So yeah, that's 5 different characters in one film for Warwick.
It was always going to happen. Ron Howard loves Warwick Davis, like literally adores the man. They're very good friends away from this. Yeah. And of course, anytime he needed someone of that stature, he was going to go, you know what, I've got Warwick, and put him in.
Well, it's Willow, isn't it? It's Willow, that's all it is. That's those 2 going, yeah, back to being best of buddies.
I love the fact that it was Weasel that he played in from episode 1. I love that fact that he's part of this.
Backstory for a character that appears and does nothing.
Yeah, I really liked that moment. And say, of course, he was going to be in other roles in there. He just fits the things they make. So it's, but I guess he's always happy to do it. He's probably now getting up there with Anthony Daniels in how many Star Wars movies he's appeared in. So yeah, it's always good. So yeah, it's nice that the guy keeps getting work, and I enjoy Warwick Davis. I like him a lot. So I'm quite happy that he's
no, I'm more than happy he keeps going back. I love the fact he keeps going back. He's also a great panel host at Star Wars Celebration. He does a lot for the fans. All round happy with that. We come on to our expert news, which is a very interesting piece of news, but it's one that I'd like to get your thoughts on afterwards. So Bob Iger sat down. I couldn't remember where I got my source from now. Sat down, did an interview recently. He said he kind of puts everything on himself for what's happened with Star Wars recently. Because Star Wars recently need to slow down. So in his interview, he said, I made the time decision, and I look back and I think the mistake that I made, I take the blame a little too much too fast. You can expect some slowdown, but it doesn't mean we're not gonna make films. J.J. Abrams is busy making episode 9. We have creative entities including David Benioff and Julie Weiss, who are developing sagas of their own. We haven't been specific about, and we're not just the point where we're going to start making decisions. But what comes after J.J. Abrams, I think we're going to be a little bit more careful about the volume and timing, and the buck stops here on that. And personally, I think it's a good call. We have been very spoiled as a fan base over the past few years, but the negativity coming from the minority and some of the fatigue is just, I think they do need to slow down. They really do.
We said it a while ago. I think we covered it back on one of our Cantina talks, an episode where we were literally talking about
Yeah,
Star Wars.
episode 38, I think it was, something like we did sit down and actually have this discussion.
And it just felt like we were getting so much Star Wars, but it was coming out far too rapidly. At first, it was a film sort of every sort of Christmas, and we're going to get a film a year. And then you got Last Jedi, which did have its critics, we all know that, and had the people who really disliked it. And then had Solo 3 months after that closed, 3 or 4 months. So that was such a close period, which it definitely negatively affected the box office of Solo. The feedback that you're getting now from people who are watching Solo on Blu-ray and download, who've seen it now, you see them on Twitter going, "Oh, I didn't go to the movies, I wasn't ready, I didn't like Last Jedi, really enjoyed this." And I think it's a much nicer watch at home. I think it's a real simple movie you put on. It's a very quick movie. You're not really thinking about much. There's not much story behind it. It's a heist.
It's a great film, but yes, it is a much more of a home release. And
I just think they had this property, they wanted to reimburse on their investment that they put into it, and the hype that I think came around episode 7, that was massive. And I mean, people were just screaming out for this, and I think at that point they got, wow, look at this that we have for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I get why they then pumped out everything they could. We'll get directors for this, we've got this film coming, they've got these spin-offs coming, and that coming, and this series coming, and that series, and it just became too much. And I think it's coming from, certainly, I know from you when you had the special editions and I had the break between Jedi and episode 1, it was a long, long time. And not that I think there should be that kind of break in Star Wars, but I certainly think you shouldn't have a film every year. You've got TV series now that can fill in gaps.
Star Wars, that was going to be my point when we've gone back to it, is the casual fan doesn't care about the TV show. So the gap between the films will be good. If you have a good couple of year gap between them, or maybe 3 years, pushing it forward. But if you have a gap between each film, that will sustain the casual fan. The hardcore fan will have the TV show, will have the books, will have the comics, he or she'll have enough content to keep them sustained without the fatigue. And I do think that the biggest mistake they've made so far was keeping that May release date for Solo. They really should have pushed it back to Christmas. They should have taken the time away from Last Jedi. We've got a 1.5 year gap between Solo and Episode 9. We've got 14 months to wait until Episode 9, and I'm more than happy for that wait. I think it'll do the film better for that wait. So I personally agree with Iger's decision to slow it down. If you've got Benioff and W. Weiss's series saga, if you've got Rian Johnson's saga, so if you've got 2 more sagas in the works, you kind of are going to want to have that gap. We've already discussed the fact that Rian Johnson's can't realistically come out until 2021 at least, or start production until 2021 at least anyway, so you're looking at 2022 release. So that is a nigh on 4 year gap as is. If you keep it at that kind of pace, having at least 3 years or 2 years between films, having the TV shows and having that gap, I think it will do the fan base and the franchise better in the long run than their greed and pumping things out in the short run that they have done so far.
I mean, you've covered it exactly there. I think it was just too much too quickly, and they've now realised that that's happened. The trend on the box office from obviously the higher Force Awakens and Rogue One is kind of a different beast because it was exceptional. And
yeah, Rogue One was just perfect. I love Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, it's as close to what you should have as that should have been in the saga. It should have been another movie.
There's a reason why our podcast is called Ones with the Force. There's a very good reason behind it.
I mean, they hit so well with that, and that kept the trend high. And then there was the drop for Last Jedi, and that then affected Solo. And I just think they have to now look at that and say, right, let's have a look at how we do this. Now, I know Marvel seem to put a movie out every 6 months, but they are really wise in the way they put those out and the timings of everything. And they certainly need to have a look at how other sagas keep them. I mean, they don't have big films. Some of them are like an Ant-Man doesn't get as many as a Captain America film would. And you kind of have to look at it in that way, and they build them out really well, the connective tissues and things like that. I just think they need to have a much greater look at how they're going to put these films out there, their release dates, and the gap between them, and then they get so much more time now to mark. Episode 9 has got a 40 months, you say, to market, so they've got loads of time to get it all shot, to get their reshoots done, to get it finely tuned, because obviously we're finishing off the Skywalker saga in the next movie, so it's a big thing to play out. I mean, I'm expecting at least a 2.5 to nearly probably 3-hour movie in this. There's no way this is a 90-minute and done. I know Star Wars film I've heard. There's no way about the 2-hour 15 mark. So I expect this to at least be near 3 hours to finish out.
This will probably be the longest film in the franchise.
Without a doubt. But they've got all the time in the world to get it perfect and the way they want that to be seen and presented and
when you go back to it, we were at Star Wars Celebration in 2016, and at that particular point we were waiting for Rogue One, but we also had the Last Jedi bits announced, and we also then had the casting for Solo announced all at the same time. It was absolutely insane. Because remember when at the ending panel we had Phil Lord and Chris Miller announcing the casting of Solos, but we haven't even got to the Last Jedi yet, let alone Rogue One, and it was so much in such a short space of time. And you can see that by the fact that Star Wars Celebration, they've taken a year off, and look how quickly Chicago sold out.
The want is still there, the desire for this product is still there. They just need to be wiser about how they do it.
Yeah, no, the desire's there, providing it's done correctly. If not, you'll just encourage negativity in the fan base. And we don't need that. Star Wars doesn't need that. It just, I'm more than happy for the break between films. So we've got the TV shows, we've got the comics, we've got books. There's plenty of canon and good material out there that isn't Battlefront 2 that will sustain you until the next film. And that's all we need. So we're going to continue on the news now. We have another bit of news. It's quite interesting. So in the, not our last episode, our episode before that, we covered Kelly Marie Tran's article in the New York Times, basically dealing with all the harassment she got and everything to do with that. If you haven't read that article or haven't seen our episode, go back and watch our take on that piece and go read the article. It's a very eye-opening piece, and it's something that she was extremely brave for doing, but within doing so, I think she's just, she's done wonders for herself and anyone out there who is being bullied and harassed. And of course, just on a side note, being World Mental Health Day, if you are being bullied or if you are being harassed at any point, there are numbers, there are people out there who can help you. You're not alone, don't be afraid to go and ask for help. I know I was bullied for many years. Star Wars helped me get through. That's one of the reasons I have such an akin with this franchise. But anyway, so Donald Gleason has now spoken out on this. In an interview, he said, people having an opinion about the film is absolutely fine. We pay you money, you're allowed to go and have an opinion, you're allowed to like or dislike it. The stuff with Kelly was just bullshit. There's a different thing altogether. Those people are just morons, those people are assholes. Quoting, not swearing my own children. I would have a go at George Button, but still I'm quoting him. But anyway, there's a different level of stuff you don't buy when you buy your tickets. As regarding the piece that Tran wrote for the New York Times, as I thought the piece she wrote was amazing, and I've got huge respect for her. I thought she dealt with it classically as an unclassy situation can call for. And I completely agree. The way she handled it was with dignity, respect, and it's just a very grown-up way of tackling a matter that should never have had to be tackled in the first place.
I mean, we've covered this from the moment it broke. We've covered this on about 3 or 4 shows, and it's the dark side of this new side of fandom that people want to be out there and hating this stuff as soon as it's out there without really having much knowledge, and really to have a go at a person reading a script and reading dialogue into a camera and then have personal hate against that person is ridiculous, and it's awful. And like Phil says, it is World Mental Health Day. Please, yes, there's support out there for everybody. It can be very dark out there. It's not fun at times, but let's hope for brighter side. I think we'll find that Kelly Tran will be a much bigger role in episode 9, because I think a lot of it will be down to this that's gone on, and I think it'll be purposefully done, and I think we'll see her in a much bigger story arc, and I really do. And I hope we do, and I just...
I do also think that Abrams will handle her character better than Bryan Johnson did.
he's a different kind of storyteller, and it's gonna be a very interesting take of where. While I still think he's being left, you kind of look and think, oh, what's Ryan Johnson finished at such a weird point, but he's kind of left JJ with a bright, clean sheet of where he left everything off. He can fill his own story out without having to worry about too much.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying to a friend of mine before. I was having a chat with them about episode 8, because they had a discussion with them and said, well, they're still not sure on 8. So, well, we have to remember that 8 is the middle point. After you see 9, then you'll be able to judge 8 properly. You can't judge a middle until you've read the end. You have a beginning, a middle, and end, but you can't. It really is a lot of the meat that goes on. You can't really judge it too much yet. So I'm interested to see what JJ does with it. But as you said, he's left him with quite a blank slate, which is what episode 9 needs. It's what the franchise really needs going forward. It's also why we're excited to see The Mandalorian and to see D.B. Weiss and David Benioff's saga and Ryan Johnson's saga, to see where they take Souls in that fresh direction, because it really needs that fresh direction. And yeah, I'll be very interested to see what they do with her character, what they do with, well, everyone's character, what they do with the franchise in general for episode 9.
Just because, I mean, just to be closing out that Skywalker saga frees up everybody else is then coming at that story to release movies in the Star Wars universe. It frees them up entirely to not have to think about that anymore. To not have to think about maybe even like Jedi. There'll always be a sense of the Jedi. I'm guessing we'll see something down the line where there'll be other people who wield a lightsaber but who won't be connected to that Skywalker saga. And I think in the long run, that is what we need. We need to move away from that. So it'd be nice to see that all rounded out, and 20 months' time we'll be there. We'll be there watching it.
We will. We'll have 40 months' time. We'll have the Mandalorian, so we'll have a series without a lightsaber in it, most likely. I still think we should have something involving lightsabers at all times, but still, hey. We haven't had a decent lightsaber in a long time. In episode 7, we had kind of a good one. Episode 8, nothing happened with the lightsaber, which went straight through Luke. So come on, give me something good for 9. But yes, so moving on though, Paul Bettany has been now confirmed for London MCM Comic Con. He's 50 quid for an autograph, 72 for a photo, which compare that to the 150 quid for a autograph for Authentics is a bargain. You get 3 autographs from him in person for the price of 1 from Authentics, which I think is absolutely insane.
I mean, we've discussed this so many times. Our rants are famous about autograph prices. And how Star Wars fans do get hit at this convention, especially Authentics are great. If you aren't someone who can make it to conventions and you want to get an autograph and you know it's come from that actual person, not something shady off eBay that might have been signed by them or might have been signed by some guy in the back alley somewhere, they are really good to get an authentic autograph. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good business if you want that. But yeah, you can go to these conventions if you can get there and you get to these people and meet them for way less. And you can still have something signed Star Warsy. It's a really good way. And Paul Bettany's a really good one to get, I think. I think it's Dryden wasn't in Solo very much, but the part he played was excellent. So yeah, get your Black Series figure when that comes out and that's signed. That'll be awesome.
I am very tempted to me, but 50 quid is a lot cheaper than there's the 150 from Authentics. And if he goes to Celebration, you can imagine they'll jack the price up even more.
Absolutely.
But he has very few lines. Here, he is now £500. Because that's what Star Wars Celebration works. I mean, as I said, when I met Mark Hamill was 135. He is now 200. It's good price. So yes, of course, whilst you can grab a bargain basement of £50 for an autograph, go for it. And of course, whilst we're on that, Garrett Hagon and Caroline Bankston, so that's Biggs and the original Mon Mothma, both MCM Comic Con as well in London. They're both £20 for an autograph, 24 for a photo. I will be meeting both of them. I may meet Paul Bettany, but I will be meeting Biggs and Mon Mothma. Again, for that price, why not?
Yeah, you really can't say no at that price. I mean, that's literally that's peanuts to go get these guys autographs. Especially if you're like George, who's got a poster for episode 7 that he's filling up by the convention. If you've want to get these things signed, it's a great opportunity. At £20 to get a signature on something like that is great, or something that a collector, like a figure like a Black Seed or a Pop, to get them signed. It's really great. And £20, that's it's not still not it's not nothing. It's 20 quid, but it's going to take you a couple of weeks to get that together. Great, go get these people signed on there.
Indeed. So I will be doing that. when I go in a few weeks' time. And of course, our last bit of news is the Lost Empire Strikes Back documentary by Patrice Guillaume has found its way online. It's been released on YouTube. If you haven't had Patrice Guillaume has found the documentary and put it online. So my French Michel's put, brother French Michel Parbot shot it during the Shooting Empire Strikes Back out in, was it Iceland or Greenland? I went to do Hoth, I can't remember the top of my head. It was Greenland, wasn't it? Either way, yeah, that documentary is now online on YouTube and well worth a watch. If you haven't watched it, it is fascinating. It is an early behind-the-scenes documentary, but it's got lots of stuff in it you don't even see on the Blu-ray behind-the-scenes documentaries you had from the original trilogy. So if you haven't seen it, well worth a watch. I don't know if you've seen it at all, Dave.
I watched it. I came up online there, it was on there, and I mean, I've seen documentaries of the making of Empire Strikes Back, and I think, all right, I'll give it a watch. And I was hooked after about 10 minutes. There are scenes of Mark Hamill training with the lightsaber and learning the moves, and they seem a lot more laid back, like this wasn't an official documentary that was getting made. So yeah, you get this much more laid back style of what they're looking at and what they're filming. It is absolutely fascinating. So it's on YouTube. It's very easy to find. It'll be on, if you've got a Facebook and you like Star Wars, and I'm sure it'll be flying up on places there. You can find it very easily. The Lost documentary, if anybody strikes back, do go and watch it. It is really, really worth your time.
Indeed, no, it is definitely worth an investment. Again, I started watching, I got hooked as well. I had to stop to do the schedule, so I will continue watching it at some point. But yes, that concludes the news, which has taken us quite a while. Unfortunately, it's going to be quite a mammoth episode. So, jumping into Star Wars, we've had some announcements from New York Comic Con over the weekend. We have Alphabet Squadron, which is a book by Alexander Freed, which is about rebel pilots hunting down Imperials after the fall of the Empire, with probably the worst title they've ever had. I mean, yes, I get it with an X-wing, an A-wing, a B-wing, a Y-wing, a U-wing. I understand the logic, but at the same time, really, it is just a terrible title. What did you call the sequels? Alphabetti Spaghetti?
Yes, the Alphabetti Spaghetti Squadron will be after that, followed by other Heinz shapes in the tomato sauce. Other brands are available. But yeah, it just seems like such a book. Like you've got squadrons, and I get it. But
it was for the fact that I put this in our group chat and our Ones with the Force chat, and I put it in there, and you told her, "Is this real?" Or was it George? Is this real? Yes, it is very real.
Yeah, it just seems like a really, really odd title for a squadron, and you're right. We all get it. We all get why it's called Alphabet Squadron because of the fighters that are in that and how they're named. But come on, you're better than this.
Exactly, really. You want
so lazy.
Yeah,
it's so lazy.
Who came up with this title? They should be shot.
Earns way more money than we do. Came up with that title.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we came up with it. It's insane. So yeah, that's announced. We announced that Vader issue number 25 is the last issue in the main Vader series. So like the first run they did, this run's also ending at issue number 25. Personally been loving it. I'm sad to see Vader go. Although there's a mini-series been announced by Marvel as well called Shadow of Vader. So more Vader to come. Yay. This one's been written by Chuck Wending, who did the Aftermath series. So quite interested to see what this one's about. So it's going to be cool. Vader main series is finished, sadly. However, yay, more Vader coming. And then we've actually got a comic I'm very, very excited for, which is Han Solo Imperial Cadet. Now, of course, it's all in the title. It's set around Han's time in the Imperial Academy. But this is something that fans have been crying out for a long, long time. I'm very interested to see where they go with this one.
I mean, we're going to get glimpses into him being a cadet in Solo, but a lot of it all of it found its way out the cutting room floor. There's a few scenes out there you'll see where you've seen him in a TIE fighter, things like that, some very rough VFX versions of that. So I think it is something that people are looking forward to see what his role was inside the Academy. And I think, is this a one-shot or is it a series? Sorry,
miniseries, five issues.
So
the graphic book will be out probably first quarter of next year. And when it is out, I recommend people pick it up.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting for people to kind of fill in a bit more of Solo's backstory, especially that part that was missed out of Solo with with the time jump. So yeah, I think it'll be that one might be one of real interest.
Yeah, we added to my collection along with everything else. I mean, yeah, I make no bones about it, no secrets. I own nearly every single issue they've released so far, both from IDW and Marvel. I'm only missing a few of the interpretations, so a few of the adaptations, which I'm not too fussed by, and just a few issues here and there just to pad out the collection. But all of the main series, every side series, mini series, I've got it all. I think so far there's about close to 250-ish single issues so far, and I've got nine on all, about 230. There's not one I'm missing, a lot of them just the adaptations. So yes. Again, another one they've announced though is very, very exciting, which is the Star Wars Age of series, so Age of Republic, written by Jody Houser, arriving in December. So the first ones of those are Qui-Gon Jinn and Maul. Then you've got Age of Rebellion. First ones of those are Darth Vader and Princess Leia. That's by Greg Pak, which begins in April 2019. And then you've got Age of Resistance by Tom Taylor coming in July 2019. The first one for that is Phasma, I believe, but not really looked too much into it. And again, why more Phasma? Please, no more. No. This fan favourite, they need to just let her just rest, because I'm sick and tired of Phasma. I have given her more than enough chances, and I just...
We can talk about her later too. She'll be coming back.
Yes, I will be talking about her later. Around then. And then we have Women of the Galaxy, booked, and that's by Amy Ratcliffe again. So that's all coming from New York Comic Con. That one, bunch of artwork, bunch of just background stuff. Interesting to see. Again, not too fussed myself personally, but I think I can see why they're doing it. Yeah, and that concludes Star Wars. Finally, get a lot to talk about Star Wars. Yay.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had much in Star Wars at all, so for there to be quite a bit, and New York Comic Con seemed to announce a lot of these titles. So yeah, it's going to be good. Phil is now actually sitting on the couch, if you can see the screen now. He's actually just in a pile of comics.
Indeed, very, very good. To be fair, if you stack them up, they are just over 3 foot tall. They're about 3.5 foot tall at the moment.
That's insane. That's awesome.
That's just my Star Wars collection. If you add my Marvel into that, it's about 6.5, 7 foot tall. My collection. That's a different conversation. That's most one man of my Venom collection there, which, disagreeing with George's opinion on Venom, I actually quite liked it. I thought it was quite good. Ignore the critics, go see it, make up your own opinion. It's a good film. It's not great. I gave it about 6. I thought I'd give it a 1 or a 2, so I was happy with that. But anyway, that's a different conversation. I'm just annoying George when he eventually, hopefully, does join us. So, Toy Shelf. We've got a lot to cover in Toy Shelf. I don't think I've covered much of the Lego. I think I've missed that out. I'll let you talk about that Dave, when we get to that. So the first bit we've got is the Resistance 3.75-inch series that's been announced. So you have Kazuda Ziono, or Kaz, the main character from the new series. You have Tora Doza, Suminara-san, you have Commander Pyre, Major Von Reg, and you got a 2-pack of Poe Dameron and BB-8, and then you have Yiga and Bucket. I quite like Bucket. We'll get onto those later. But yes, so the 3.75 inch has been announced. These are not vintage collection. These are your standard children's 3.75 inch toy. You know, the bottom of the line. They look kind of cool. I probably won't get them. I'll wait for them to do Black Series or vintage collection before I pick those up. But we do get to the meat of things. We do get to the Hasbro panel. The Hasbro panel, I was just updating these guys constantly as I was getting all the news. Doing myself, I'm very, very excited for what they've announced. So first off, you have the Clone Wars Micro Series version of Obi-Wan. So from the Clone Wars, if you ever saw the original series, which was in 2002, 2003, done by Cartoon Network, it was okay. I mean, I prefer the actual proper Clone Wars, but so the way Obi-Wan is dressed in that is how he is dressed in this. It's Obi-Wan in clone armor. Love the way that looks. And of course, we have General Grievous coming alongside him. So you get Obi-Wan and Grievous at the same time. You can't complain there.
They look great. The Obi-Wan in full armor is awesome. It's one of my favorite pieces. Obi-Wan is one of my favorite characters, so I can't wait to pick this up. Black Series is kind of where I am then, and Pops at the moment. I've caught George's Pop fever recently, and kind of taking over a little bit. But yes, I can't wait to, and Grievous looks awesome.
Yeah,
as
well.
well.
I picked up the Commander Wolf Black Series figure the other day, and I showed you guys in the chat, and the painting on it is stunning. The new digital painting they've got has just taken them to a whole new level. So very much looking forward to getting those two. In the archive collection, we've got Episode 3 Anakin, Episode 5 Yoda, and Scout Trooper coming back, and they have actually confirmed that although their figures themselves will stay the same, they're going to use their new digital painting to improve them, which the sculpts weren't bad, it was the painting that let them down, so I'm more than happy for them to go back and revamp those. Next, of course, is the big one for me. Dr. Aphra, BT1, and 000 are coming to Black Series in 6-inch form with a digital painting. I could not be happier.
When I saw this news coming out, I thought you might explode a little bit. Like just that would fill. So yeah, the Black Series are bringing more and more into it from the comic books, and because Aphra and the droids 000, BT1 are so popular, of course they were going to bring them in. Once they released them in that vintage packaging, you kind of knew Black Series was next. So yeah, you knew that was coming. But yes, I mean, it's really good news for people like yourselves who absolutely adore these characters from the comic books that are coming to the Black Series.
Yeah, I mean, Aphra's coming to the vintage collection, so I'm going to get her in the vintage collection packaging. I have the triple pack from SDCC. I do have that vintage triple pack, which is beautiful. I have both the variant editions of Vader 23 and 24, which is the vintage collection style BT1 000. Yeah, I have the lot when it comes to these guys. I will be getting these guys in the Black Series as well, and I can't wait for that. So yes, I did explain this a bit when I saw that. We've also got the Rebels Rocket Trooper, which will be a GameStop exclusive. Hopefully we'll get some sort of reprieve in the UK for that. They are trying to do that, of course. The wet-haired Stormtrooper Luke, again, that's going to be a Target Black Series. I was hoping they'd put a Diamoga in that, but
just get some pipe cleaners and wrap them around them. It's just about the same.
Yeah, no, I will buy them a little Diamoga to go with it. It has to be done. And then we've got the vintage collection. George will be loving this one. I do like this vintage collection. I know you do as well, Dave. We have the Gamorrean Guard and Crate Luke in the vintage collection. The Crate Luke just looks stunning. They're
getting better, and I mean, the real appeal for the vintage line for me is the look with the card back as it goes back to the original Kenner. And they're putting these out, and they do look superb. The figures are getting better as well on the vintage collection. They're pretty much as close as to a Black Series put in 3.75 inch. So you're going to get the Luke Crate Luke looks superb, and it's certainly something that you want to add in your collection. It's if you can get a hold of the vintage collection, they're little works of art, each one of them. I absolutely adore them. The only one I think is kind of a bit lost on me is the Solo one, where they used artwork rather than a picture. I don't know if that was just production times, but it looks a bit odd. But the rest of them are stunning pieces.
The figure itself still looks quite good as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I recommend if people are into that, yeah, go out there.
I need to pick up for sure. It's something that I am starting to look into seriously. I didn't have the money all the time when it's like kind of like George, who pre-orders every wave, and they've also announced they're going to be making more vehicles for it as well, which I'm hoping they do an ATTE. Personally, I want an ATTE. But we've got more announcements coming up at other conventions this year. So you've got MCM Comic Con, Luca Comics and Games, as well as Paris Comic Con, where they're going to be announcing more stuff. I will be at MCM Comic Con. George will be there as well, so hopefully we'll have some reporting from there. Then we can move on to the Lego section. We have
just before we do get there. So while we're on talking Black Series, I thought, because I don't think it's in this bit news, but they announced the lightsabers as well. They're bringing out.
They did, but I couldn't find that recently. Go on, yes.
Yeah, they're bringing out 3 lightsabers in the Black Series collection. Now, they've already brought out Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Obviously, they do the helmets. They're bringing out 3 new lightsabers. They're doing Mace Windu. They are doing...
Mace Windu? What's Mace Windu? Goes through the window.
Mace Windu is someone else. He's completely weird. He just stands around a lot.
His face goes through the window. That's what it is.
Yeah. Which I thought of that joke myself. They are doing Obi-Wan Kenobi from Episode 1, which is an absolute must-have for me.
You'll be getting that as soon as you can.
I've always wanted that hilt, the Episode 1 hilt. I want the Master Episode 1, but they're so pricey, and I've always wanted that one. So that is a must-have for me, that Obi-Wan Episode 1 Black Series lightsaber. And there's a third one that is literally escaping my mind of what the third lightsaber is. Oh, it's Darth Maul. Sorry, Darth Maul lightsaber is the third one. But only half of it, so you're getting the hilt, the broken hilt, and the lightsaber. So I'm guessing you have to again buy 2 and connect them if you want the full thing. But forget about all those. Just buy.
I really want them to do the Solo / Rebels hilt, because I think that looks even better.
It would be awesome to have done that. When they released that they were going to do a Darth Maul saber and it was only one blade, I suspected that it could be, but no, it is the episode 1 in half lightsaber again, which Hasbro released that before.
They have. It's been out before. I mean, the only one out that I don't think's been out has been the Obi-Wan from episode 1. They have done Windows before, I think. Oh, maybe they're not done. The one that they've done that I wanted is, of course, Luke's from episode 6. That's been my holy grail item. Yeah. I'm hoping to grab on a con if I can. Maybe not. We'll see. But for me, that's been my grail item for many years. Along with you, also Luke has a connection personally with that lightsaber because the original rotating lightsaber that Alec Guinness used in episode 4 was the exact same hilt they then used in episode 6 for Luke's for Return of the Jedi. They just gave it a bit of paint, changed it a little bit, and that was it. So it's the exact same lightsaber hilt that they used in episode 4 for Obi-Wan that Luke then uses in episode 6. Not anything to account. It's just a background bit of information which I find quite fascinating, to be honest. But yeah, I've always wanted that lightsaber. But yes, we're moving on to the Lego now, and something that I do want that don't have the room for, and that's Darth Vader's castle. Now we have the leaked image. It's now been officially announced. It's 120 quid from a Lego shop, and I really want it.
It's a lovely big triangular castle with a nice selection of minifigures. You also get Vader in the Bacta tank. It does look awesome. I don't know how tall this thing's going to be, so I'm looking forward to seeing when it gets. Normally, when they release them in the Lego store, they'll have a display one made up. So I'm interested. I think it's something that certainly will be on my Christmas list, or at least to get afterwards. It is something I want to add to my collection. I think that'll look awesome, just to have. And obviously, it's Vader's castle. You are looking at pretty much a triangle of black, but you know what? It just looks.
What a triangle of black, though. I mean, yeah,
it is. You're right, and it's got a little lava flow coming out the front, and it just looks really cool. As some of these Lego things do, can look a bit off, but I really like look at this. It looks really cool. So I really want this one as well.
Indeed. No, I'm quite excited to see that. I would love it. Go see about another room, but maybe. And of course, we've got the UCS Falcon Cone to Smides, and it's only £519. I think it's gone down in price, if I remember correctly.
Well, I've been to look at this. It's out now. You can get it in Smiths around the UK. It's a toy shop, the Toys R Us, where you can pick this up. Now they were running a deal where up until the 30th of October, if you spent £10 in that store, if you spent £50, you got £10 back. So I believe if you bought the Falcon, you would get about £120, £130 off it. Whether that's still the same now that deal's finished, it's certainly a good option that you've got somewhere else other than the Lego store to get it from. But also, if you get it from the Lego store and bought it for the $649 and use the Lego membership, you then get your points, which I think equates to about £60 worth of points, which you can then put towards Vader's castle. It's a win-win situation. The UCS Falcon is something that I will soon have in my grasp. It is coming, and I can't wait. I'm very excited to get it. George, who unfortunately isn't here tonight, as we know he's moved away, and we might get him on at some point. But if he's not on tonight, we'll certainly have him in the future. Then to me, when I told him I was getting it, is I just enjoy the build. It's an amazing build, so I can't wait to have that and put some videos out there of that getting built. It's an awesome piece.
Indeed, it is. And yeah, that concludes Toy Show. Yeah, we've still got quite a chunk to go as well. So we'll move on to games. There's not really much news in that. I mean, the last time we've spoken was you had Battlefront 2 screwing up their timeline with the with their release order. The fact that you've now got things coming out next year that should be out this year. So that's so there's still not really much news in the games front. The only thing we had is X-Wing 2.0 has now been launched. I was at that launch event a few weeks ago. Absolutely loved it. Loving playing the new game. And for those of you who do play X-Wing, if you haven't picked up 2.0, give it a shot. And those of you who just who do enjoy Star Wars and enjoy a good tabletop game, haven't played it, just recommend it, give it a shout. So we're now going to move on to Resistance. Now, Resistance, of course, premiered on Sunday 10th. Sunday the 7th, sorry, it's supposed to air at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but of course aired a lot earlier than that. I know that you saw it quite a bit before it was supposed to be released.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as, don't get me wrong, No, we're here in the UK. We are going to get the episodes airing from this weekend on Disney XD, so they do start this weekend for people to catch up. Obviously, as soon as these things were on the Disney app in the US, it didn't take long for there to be places you could go to watch these episodes if you wanted to. I saw them probably about 12 hours after they were released in the US, and let the guys know they're available. So we can see the episodes and talk about them today. So there are ways and means of seeing these things. So yeah, it's good that we're going to be there, but let's say the UK will catch up this weekend when the episodes go live. I don't know if we're getting the 3 episodes that have aired, or if we're just going to get the first, the Recruit Part 1, whether we'll get that, just that one big episode, the 40-minute episode, and then it'll take on from there. But yeah, I mean, we've got a new Star Wars series, and I think we're going to have a good time discussing it, because I don't think we're going to have overly similar views. I think we might differ on a few things, so I think it'll be really interesting.
I need to unfortunately just handle something private for a second. So if you want to take us through the synopsis of the first 2 episodes, the Recruit Part 1 and Part 2, and I will give you my thoughts to start with.
Yeah, so I mean, we came into these episodes, and I mean, we'll go into a bit of background. This came out as the next announcement of what was following Rebels. Fan favorite, took a bit of getting into the first Disney era animated series. And it did start off very much like a Disney animated series and grew into itself. Then we got a first shot that was going to be from Resistance. So we got the picture of the ship, and everyone was kind of looking at the style of it. And then we started getting the videos introducing us to the crews and the animation style. And I think that's what kind of lost some people, where they weren't overly enamored with the style of this. But now the episodes are out there, and it seems to be widely positive, the views that have come out of it. So we had 4 episodes kind of air. We had Part 1 and 2 of The Recruit, which were actually shown as one sort of 40-minute episode. And then we had The Triple Dark and Fuel for the Fire. So we'll start with The Recruit Part 1, which is X-Wing pilot. I don't know how they pronounce it. Is it Kazdu? They call him Kaz in the series anyway.
Kazudu Xiono, or Kaz.
Yeah, he's not in my lexicon of Star Wars yet. He'll get there, or I'll be able to just say his name without thinking about it. But he finds himself over his head when he's actually in his X-Wing, and Poe Dameron is there. There's a red TIE fighter that they're kind of following and fighting against, and Poe Dameron assigns him to a remote fueling station to spy for, I think it's the First Order spy in there, and Kaz is sent there to look for that spy and finding information on the First Order. And really that continues in the second part, where he finds out basically what they're doing, all about the pilots and the flying and what they're doing. And it's really just kind of introducing us to these characters and the world that we're going to be in with this series, however long it goes or however many episodes. I'm not even sure. Is it a full 22 episode run, this first series?
What's one thing that I need to do? I will double check on that.
So no matter how many episodes, we don't know if it's 13 or it's a full 22. But yeah, they're kind of embedding us with the characters that we're going to be with. And to be honest, we didn't get a lot of the characters I thought we might. Donald Faison's character hasn't been in, but maybe he was in for a few seconds over the whole 3 episodes. But so our first episode, really, Recruit Part 1 and Part 2. What do you think?
Yes, I can't find a series like this at the moment, so any information we do get will of course put up. I think it might just be a 20 episode run this year, from what I can gather somewhere at the back of my mind. So yes, the Recruit Episode 1, Episode 2. First off, going to talk about the animation style. I got past it within the first 10 minutes. I really did. After that, quite enjoyed it. Don't really mind the animation style whatsoever. It is aimed at a younger audience, but it doesn't seem too kiddie. If that's one thing you're worried about, it's like Rebels. The first series of Rebels, first half especially, is kind of young, kind of lighthearted, and it gets darker and darker as you go along. I think Resistance might follow a similar path. But yes, the first couple episodes, you have the cool red TIE Interceptor. It's kind of slightly changed from what we know and love from the original trilogy, so that's kind of good to see. But yes, love the first 2 episodes. Interesting. You had Oscar Isaac come back for the first half of the first episode. Not really much, but then he was kind of helping set the scene. I thought it was a solid opener. It really was. Basically, chucking. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think very much the animation style is where we're probably different. I find it very simplistic in the design of certainly the characters. where it's very much like a very one-line face. And I love that we got Oscar Isaac back as Poe, and he was excellent in it, because some actors, when they come in to do these animated series, when they've obviously been contracted just to go in and do it, can very much give a dead rating. But he really played it well. I thought he was really, really good in it. I didn't mind the series, to be honest. I don't mind these first few episodes. You're right, they are very much aimed at children, and it's very obviously aimed at that. Kids are going to adore these episodes, and the racing in them and the humour in them, I think they're going to really enjoy. And maybe that's not where a lot of fans, but a lot of the 30 and 40-year-old men who maybe shouldn't be enjoying cartoons as much as children do. But it's a nice entry. I think the animation style, I'll get more used to it as the episodes go through. But yeah, it was a bit jarring at first. That was the one thing I took away. I'm not a big fan of that animation style, but the episode itself, the first two, I was the first one, two-parter, I quite enjoyed. I quite liked the first episode.
Yeah, I thought it was just a solid opener. It was a good way to introduce yourself to the characters. It was. It was a good, solid opener. It's one of those things with a new show, you have to play it safe, but at the same time, you have to establish what you're going to be, and I thought they did that well. The fact that you had the T-70s to start with, you had him being in the Resistance, and then also in the Republic Navy, and then going over to the Resistance. The fact that his father is blacked out kind of in that scrambled message, I do wonder if he's going to be a First Order sympathizer in the Senate. So they've planted seeds already as to where the series could go. I'm interested to see that. You, of course, do have, and it's not even mentioned in the notes here, you do actually have, by the end of that, by the time you see the old the frigate, you do actually have Anthony Daniels guest starring as well. He does C-3PO, of course. He has to be in it. Even if this is his only line in the entire series, you never see him again. He just has to be in it somewhere.
It was never not going to be. Yeah, it was a nice surprise to hear his voice, to be totally honest with you. I wasn't expecting it. So to hear him voicing on that was great. We do get that the First Order are our villains in this piece, although they've been shown for all of about 14 seconds over the three episodes. We did get to see Starkiller Base at the end of the Recruit Part 2. You got to see a lovely shot. It actually looked really nice in that style. Starkiller Base in the back of that. So I really enjoyed seeing that. We didn't get a lot of our villains in these first three episodes. You got very, very small snippets.
A lot of establishment, though. That's what it needs to be.
So first episode, I mean, it was all right. Yeah, I quite enjoyed myself watching it. I didn't find myself bored or tired. And say the animation style, yes, it's not for me, but I still got through it as a cartoon and thought, yeah, this is fine. I think the episodes got a bit better as they went on as well for me. By the time I got episode 3.
Was a good episode.
And Triple Dark was Liberty Kaz and BB-8 uncover information of an imminent pirate attack, and they need to find a way to stop that. And we also got in this our wonderful, wonderful Captain Phasma.
Yeah, she had like 2 lines. It was fun. She even though we did that. No. Actually, I felt excited. It was a good, solid episode. It's your first one after the opener. It's your first chance to establish the universe and establish where you are, and the character's relationship with his new friends, his new family, as it were. I really liked it. I thought Triple Dark was a good episode. I liked seeing the pirates into it. The fact that the main ship that the pirates are flying is actually an Alpha Class Starwing, which was in the old X-Wing game. I don't mean the tabletop, I mean the old video game. It was introduced for that a long time ago, and now it's being made canon by this. It's taken them nearly 20 years to make that. Well, actually, no, over 20 years to make that thing canon. So that was a very, very small tidbit for the older Star Wars fan there, which I like. Like still going back to old concepts and going back to old designs and making them canon the way they can, like using the TIE Defender back in Rebels. So yeah, that was interesting to see. I did like the fact that Kazuto is trying to find his way around. He's still trying to find his feet, but still manages to save the day in a way that benefits everyone. I think it's a really good, solid episode after you open it, after you establish the characters. Again, he's going to find his feet. I really enjoyed it. And then we got Fuel for Fire, which is the 4th episode. Now, it's the 3rd episode really, but it's the 4th because
Two-part of it for the first episode.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got Kaz's friend Sky Racer named Brooklyn, played by Elijah Wood, or Frodo, who pressured him to taking some very dangerous hyperfuel hidden in Jaeger's office. Well, actually, it's more Brooklyn wants him to take him to see Jaeger's his racer. Doesn't do it. Steals the hyperfuel, which is a callback, of course, to Coaxium. You see it solo, and stop. Basically, he finds out that how unstable it is. It manages to get to him before the race starts and manages to save his life, rather ungratefully. But luckily for him, Jaeger seems to take a liking to him and doesn't kick him out. Again, it's a solid episode. We're doing a kind of a short and condensed version of this. From now on, we'll have a full, more in-depth look at these episodes. But with 3 coming off the back in the last couple of days, to actually kind of put everything together has been kind of condensed and kind of tricky. But again, I thought it was a really good episode. It was a good, solid opener. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Dave, what are your thoughts on?
I actually really out of the episode that we had, this was probably my favourite. Most of that was me puzzling over who. Well, I knew to know it's Elijah Wood now, but for the whole episode, I could not place his voice, although I knew who it was, and that really bugged me for most of it. I loved the story with the hyperfuel. I loved that was in there. There are so many little tidbits to kind of look for in the background of these episodes. Pit droids from episode 1 is one of my favourite things that I've seen in this series, to just see a pit droid again. And just some of the stuff that's the ships are obviously hodgepodges of other ships put together, so you're looking for pieces that you've seen before. There's
an X-wing, there's A-wing, there's B-wing, there's bits of
there's bits of Alphabet Spaghetti Squadron everywhere. Yeah. It's all over the place. And I mean, there's even some things that people have picked out that Jaeger, when you see a picture of his family, in the background is the planet that they're basing the theme park around, which is crazy that this is going to be that in depth. I was going to put a picture up in our chat, but I will put it up on our Facebook as well. When someone's put a picture of the design work and then this, and it's the same place.
Of course, the other picture is him on Jakku, which
yes, in his Rebel Pilot's outfit. There's some really nice little things. You can see the downed Star Destroyer in the background as well. It's really some nice little nods in this series, which I think the animation style lends themselves to being able to get a lot more in, whereas certainly in the Rebel style and Clone Wars, they had to build. Probably the animation for that style is a lot harder to get the models in. It cost them more, so you didn't get as many species and characters in. This one we've seen loads of characters turn up. Like you've got what's Bossk? I can never remember. Is it no? It's not Rodian. But there are Rodians in. There's in Fuel for Fire there when they're trying to fix the ship, and it's an Nemoidian that is there who's dealing with the pirates. It's just these little nods.
People not giving Nemoidian. Yeah, of course. RC, who looks after the cantina, is the same species as Unkar Pla.
Yeah, there's just some really nice sort of nods towards what we've had, and that is probably that's probably going to be more. That's really entertaining certainly for myself as a nearly 40-year-old man watching cartoons. That was really nice touches to see a lot of these old characters and a lot of designs, because in the new Star Wars trilogy we haven't seen a lot of our old classic creatures, sand people, Jawas. We don't see any of that now, which is a bit Yes, you don't see these things. They're not on every. But a glimpse of a Greedo would be nice. But you know what? It's just nice to see these characters reappearing. We're going to get more of this. Obviously, Donald Faison plays a Rodian, and he's been. I think he's had one scene where he put his hand out and cheered. Oh, can I just say an awesome thing about this series is Greg Proops playing the announcer for the races, who played him in episode 1 as well.
Yeah, reprising his role as an announcer is great. I love it. It's so many callbacks, so much. Yeah, it's fun.
So to be honest, when I started out and even talk about it now, I think, I kind of thought it was okay, and then I've kind of realised I've talked through it. Maybe I enjoyed this more than I thought, and I am looking forward to seeing what's in the next episode.
Indeed, it's one of those things that I have been the one proving the point. I'm going with the more positive attitude, and I'm coming out strong. George, of course.
George hated this.
Yeah, George negativity. No, but he hasn't hated it. That's the thing, though. He's going. It's better than he's always going to be. He just hasn't made it past the animation yet.
Yeah.
It's about the best way you can put it for George, really, I guess.
George will, of course, hopefully be at some point joining us. Not tonight, unfortunately.
Seem to have lost Dave there. Yeah, no, of course, we have not got George this evening. He couldn't, unfortunately, make it. He will be back for our next episode in a couple of weeks' time. Again, I'll be back, Dave will be back. Hopefully, we'll have the three of us. If not, well, the two of us, we already know. We've already made our announcement, unfortunately, regarding George's predicament. Because he's still working hard behind the scenes with us. Even the last few episodes where I haven't been available, I've been working hard behind the scenes as well, trying to get everything sorted. I'm not sure if we're going to get Dave back. But, oh, we have.
Sorry, yes, that was me. That's I lost track there. So hopefully you're feeling lovely. I do apologise for that. I disappeared for a little while. I was probably talking about Celebration. That's what I was saying. Hopefully we'll have a lot more from George Wise in Celebration. His feet on the ground while me and Phil discuss the panels and things that we've been watching, because we'll be reporting on everything at Celebration. We'll have a lot of videos out. We've always put a lot of content out around Celebration. We stay up to stupid o'clock and comment things as well. I'm looking forward to Celebration just for me and Phil getting on. So yeah, good times ahead.
Indeed, indeed. So I think that's about it for this evening. We're not going to do a cantina talk. We've talked for long enough. We've crammed a lot in. We've been on just over an hour. We've had to cram in a lot of news, a lot of reviews, and even Resistance, we've condensed a lot and condensed everything as much as we can to get it to a more of a normal length. So we're going to leave it there. Not going to do a cantina talk this evening. I don't think there's anything else. Dave, you got any final points?
Oh, really? Just a big thank you to everyone who's stuck around through. Thank you very much for watching and on your time with watching us on YouTube and on our Facebook page. And we'll try and get, I say every time, but we'll try and get out there a bit more and get some more news up as we try to gain a bit more of a following on there. And yeah, really just a big thank you to anyone who has joined us to watch and take part in this episode.
Indeed. Apologies for our absence, but we are back. It's good to be back. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ones to the Force. You can find us everywhere. Any comments you leave, we'll more than happily bring up in the show. We'll love chatting to you guys. Thank you for joining. We've been Ones to the Force. May the Force always be with you. Good night.